When he arrived at Dome 7, the duty patrolman stood up and said, "Can I help you, sir?" "Yes," said Kenom. "I'd like to see Master Lector, please." "One moment, please," said the patrolman, as he headed for the door at the far end of the room. In a moment he reappeared and said, "Master Lector will see you now, right this way." When Kenom entered the room, he found Master Lector seated behind a large desk. There were 4 large Flexlords standing or sitting to his left. Standing to the right was Master Lector. Of Master Lector was the largest of the Flexlords, Flexlord Brutum. Master Lector was a small and frail old man, which surprised Kenom considering his reputation. Master Lector did not rise, but said, "Patrolman Kenom, how good of you to call. I was told you stopped by earlier. I'm sorry if our duty patrolman treated you with less respect than he should have, but most of our patrolmen are not quite themselves today. As you must know, our dome won the throwing and jumping competition again at the sporting games this war season, and, well, most of them haven't completely recovered from our big victory celebration." "That's quite all right," said Kenom. "Well then, Patrolman Kenom, what can I do for you?" Kenom leaned forward in his chair and said, "I am here in regards to the conditions over at the Verton maintenance dome. I was there yesterday and I found their dome to be in very poor condition." Master Lector looked up at Lord Brutum. He said, "Lord Brutum, you're in charge of the Vertons. What do you know about this?" Lord Brutum was a low-lived sportsman. One could easily see that he only cared for sports and his organic body and little else. He and the other lords who were sitting in the room showed little respect to Kenom. It was obvious to Kenom that Master Lector had abdicated his authority to his lords. Lord Brutum answered directly to Kenom, "Those Vertons are a bunch of lazy, good-for-nothing rabble. It takes 10 of them to do the work of 1 Fleckman. Look at the shape our tunnel's in. I'm not surprised that their dome is a mess too." Kenom tried to control his anger at this arrogant outburst. Looking back at Master Lector, Kenom said, "They need some new generators." Master Lector looked up again at Lord Brutum. "Do we have any generators?" he asked. "None that we can spare," was his reply. "We give them plenty of power from our dome power units. They don't need any generators." Master Lector looked over at Kenom. "I'm sorry, Patrolman, but it looks like there's nothing we can do for you." Kenom said, "Perhaps I could go down to the supply section and have a look for myself." Lord Brutum abruptly said, "Patrolmen from mini domes are not allowed in that section." Now Kenom was really getting angry. He stood up and said to Master Lector, "I was hoping to do this the easy way, but you forced me to do otherwise." Kenom pulled his order form from his pocket and handed it to Master Lector. Master Lector read it and turned pale. He stood up and bowed and said, "I apologize to you, Special Patrolman Kenom. I was unaware." He said nothing else, but remained in his position, eyes fixed on the paper in his hands. All the lords could see that something serious was happening. They all stood up and looked at Lord Brutum for guidance. Lord Brutum looked down at the orders and began to turn white. All he had to see was the commander's seal on the order to know that he was in deep, deep trouble. Kenom took the order from Fleckmaster's hand and slipped it back into his pocket. Lord Brutum attempted to say something, but all he could do was give a salute and stand at attention. The rest of the lords did likewise. All was silent for a while. Master Lector, with his head bowed, the 4 lords at attention. Finally Kenom said, "With my authority settled then, why don't we all go down to the supply section and look for those generators?" With that, Kenom pinned the Special Patrolman badge on his uniform, and they all left for the supply room. Kenom was only the 2nd patrolman to ever get priority patrolman status on Ob. The first priority patrolman was a Zimmnelian from Wolmat. He found and rooted out Flexton corruption throughout the compound. 75 Flextons, including 3 Fleckmasters, were sent back to Flexton to face court-martial as a result of one of his investigations. So the power of a priority patrolman is well known in this dome. The dome commander, as a rule, looks the other way when it comes to the Flextons, even though he is the power to remove anyone from duty in the dome. But when an outsider gets that much power, everyone runs for cover. It is not surprising then to get such a reaction from Master Lector and his lords. On the way to the supply section, every Flextloid patrolman they passed snapped to attention when they saw the badge and Flexmaster and the Flexmaster and his Flexlords looking so grim. They knew something was going down. Kenom would find it all rather amusing if it were not for the seriousness of the situation with regard to the Vertons. Inside the supply section they found 10 brand new generators still in their shipping cases. They also found tons upon tons of all sorts of electronic gear, everything imaginable. Master Lector seemed as surprised as Kenom at the amount of stuff stored there. He was so embarrassed at how his lords had deceived him that he almost came to tears. Kenom felt sorry for the old man and said, "Perhaps you can have 3 of these generators sent over to the Verton maintenance dome, Master Lector. They would be very grateful." Master Lector collected himself at this show of respect. He turned to Lord Brutum. "See that 3 of these generators are delivered to the Vertons immediately." "Yes, sir," was the reply. "Leave them in the tunnel," said Kenom. Kenom didn't want any Flextons to go into the Verton's dome in the case they would happen to see some exposed electrobodies. "Yes, sir," said Lord Brutum. "Well then," said Kenom, "I have no further business here today, so I'll be on my way. Thank you, Master Lector, lords."